Time about a topic I've divided into two sections. Train like an athlete, live like a champion. It's about getting yourself right, getting yourself better before you try to get your business better, before you try to get your people better.
Personal growth and leadership trainer Dave Anderson. Now on Fixing the Money Thing.
I'm Gary Cassini. For 9 years, I had debt I couldn't pay, which brought on panic attacks, antidepressants, until the kingdom of God drastically changed my life. Now, I want to help you fix the money thing.
This is Gary Cassini. Fixing the Money Thing.
We're going to talk this time about a topic I've divided into two sections. Train like an athlete, live like a champion. It's about getting yourself right, getting yourself better before you try to get your business better, before you try to get your people better. So often we spend a lot of time trying to get our people better. Oh, if I could just get these people more focused or more energized or, just a little bit more motivated. But we're not right. We're not doing the right things. Whether it's emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally, and we really can't export to others what we don't have. We can't take them on journeys we haven't been on. And so this is a good section to really look in the mirror, and I've been speaking about this a lot. Some of you know I work with athletes. I have a business background, and I left the car dealerships I was running 22 years ago to start Learn to Lead. I've written 15 books in that time. I've been able to speak in 21 countries. Usually I speak about 100 times a year until the government shuts things down, and that kind of killed 2020 for a little bit, but we're making up for that this year. And principles are principles, though. It doesn't matter whether I'm working with a college basketball team or an NBA player, which I work with 5 of them right now on the mental skills part of the job. I don't teach them how to shoot baskets. I teach them how to take the 6th shot after they've missed 5 in a row, and how to stay locked in and how to master the moment and deal with the haters and the critics and the disappointments and all the nonsense that goes on around their performance. And so, but that's the great thing about principles. Whether you're running a bank or a dealership or a team, there are certain things that are going to apply to you. You may tweak them a little bit to fit your situation. But I've been giving this talk a lot, and there are 14 different things, and I was thinking, well, I don't have time to do 14 in one session, so I'll just give them the condensed version, and then the next day I'll talk about something different. But then I thought, well, no, I don't know what I'd leave out. So we're going to do a part 1 and a part 2, and so we're going to build on this tomorrow, but we're going to lay a really great foundation for it today. And so I have a martial arts background, and I'm 60 now. I didn't get into the martial arts until my 40s. But that's what got me writing mindset books. I learned a lot about working through pain and how to stay focused and how to breathe and how to mentally prepare. And my last 2 books have been on getting your mindset right, because would you all agree that having the right mindset every day is more influential to success than skills, knowledge, talent, or experience? How many of you agree with that, right? Right, I do too. And I had written 13 books up to that time on skills, knowledge, and experience things, and I thought, what's missing is if people aren't thinking right, they're not going to use anything in this book, or they're not going to use it to the level that they could. By the way, I agree with you on mindset being that influential. Now, based on that, how much time do you spend every day intentionally working on yours? That's a good question, and I get that response a lot because we know it's a big deal, but we're not intentional enough. Intentional means on purpose. You're purposely doing things. You have developed routines and rituals, which, by the way, are really important because we all have routines and rituals. Some of them are sloppy. Some of them are inconsistent. Some of them really, they're not about excellence, and some of them are exceptional. And whatever your routines and rituals are, they're taking you somewhere. They're taking you somewhere. So you want to make sure they're taking you to the right place. And I talk to people about getting some type of intentional routine to where you're doing some work on your thinking before you get into the arena. That athlete has to be right before they walk into the arena. They don't walk into the arena and just flip on a switch and expect excellence to show up, right? They have to get ready before they're there. It begins before it begins. Our performance in the workplace, running a household, whatever we're doing, it begins before it begins. So I want to share with you some of the routines and rituals and principles. I teach these athletes that I work with. In fact, I have something called a pro package that they're very time consuming, so that's why I can only do 6 at a time. I'm doing 5 NBA guys right now. You would know them if I mention their names, and I'm not going to drop their names. I'll mention one tomorrow, or maybe at the end of today, because it ties into one of my points. But one of the first things I have to do is get them more structured, get them more intentional about getting their thinking right. They're talented. They're making a lot of money. They're already very successful. But how do you sustain it? How do you keep it going? And so I'm going to share with you a lot of the things I share with them. I have 2 Zoom meetings a week with them. They come to my house in Los Angeles. I'm from LA. I'm sorry. It's getting harder out there. It's getting harder out there. How many of you have heard my presentations before, by the way? Okay, so, all right, so you'll be happy to know I haven't gotten any more politically correct. I haven't gotten into that. The culture there is not rubbed off on me. I was asking Gary backstage, I said, now Gary, I haven't seen you for a while, but I haven't toned it down any. Tell me, you haven't gotten woke, have you? And he's like, no, well, we haven't done that. I said, good, because I only know one way to do it. And I spend a lot of time alone in California. I mean, how many parties do you think I would get invited to? Never a second time, I will tell you, never a second time. Somebody will ask you, what do you think of this? And you tell them, and you spend a lot of time alone. But I'd rather be alone than in bad company, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you rather be alone than in bad company? I have my family and a handful of friends, but these athletes come out to my house in LA. They spend 3 days with me. We personally go through a lot of things, and I just want to share those things with you. The most interesting one, I'm working with this kid. I gave him a scholarship because when you're in college, you can't afford to pay what it would cost to go through this package because it's very time consuming, it's very expensive. And I always was wondering, what would happen if I started somebody really early? Think about some of the things you've learned. What if you'd have learned it 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Where could that put you today? I mean, how about taking this 21-year-old kid and getting him, someone that showed me some promise, someone that showed me something. They have to bring something to the table, right? I mean, they have to do their part. I can't make them want it. I can't give them heart. I can't give them character. I mean, this stuff has to come from the inside out, just like your people's must. But so I auditioned 9 of them this last year, and I offered it to this one, and I'll tell you a little bit about him. But we're going to have fun. We're going to talk about this. And you may think, well, what? I'm not an athlete. What does this got to do with me? If you think about it, if you're in business, you have a lot in common with athletes. I mean, you're concerned about consistency, right? The ups, the downs, how to work through that. You have to bounce back from adversity. I mean, not everything always goes our way. You don't always have your A game, but you still have to perform. You don't always feel like performing, but you still got to be there. All right? You get disappointments and setbacks. You have critics and sometimes haters that take shots at you. You have to get ready for the performance before the performance begins. I mean, there's a lot in common. You got to take care of your body. You got to take care of your mind. You got to take care of your spirit. It all goes together. It all matters, you see. And so I think we have a lot more in common because performance is performance. And there are certain, success leaves clues, and there are certain clues of excellence that show up in any performance. And I just want to share that with you. And so I am going to be direct. If I say something in here that offends you today or tomorrow, that is completely your fault. You shouldn't be that soft. You shouldn't give people that much power over your life. I mean, come on. We are in such an offended age. Everybody's taking the bait. Everybody gets bent out of shape. It's like, okay, you're growing old. Could you please grow up, for goodness sakes? Learn what to overlook. And so let's just talk about getting ourselves right. These are little tweaks. And sometimes people say, well, Dave, these are just really picky little things that you've got these people doing. These are just almost insignificant little things you've got these people doing. And doesn't the Bible say something about being faithful in the little things? Getting the little things right. I talk a lot about excellence, and some of these young people say, well, I don't have the money for excellent things. I said, excellence is not about excellent things. Excellence is about taking excellent care of the things you have. I mean, if you're not going to take care of your Nikes, why should you get Louis Vuitton? Louis Vuitton is not attracted to funky feet. I'm just telling you, it's not going there. If you're not going to take care of your 20-year-old Hyundai, Why do you think you're ready for a Rolls Royce or a Bentley or a Mercedes or whatever you want? So these little things that we're given, the time in the day, the opportunity, our employees, our customers, our routines, we have to maximize. And so as I talk about this, please look in the mirror, because sometimes I start saying these things and people are like, oh, I wish so-and-so was here. He really needs this. I mean, okay, and that may be true, but this isn't about so-and-so, all right? This is about us looking in the mirror and taking the good things we're already doing, because we have a lot of successful people in the room. But we're not done yet. We can get better. I can get better. It's a journey every day. One of my goals is to compete with who I was yesterday, right? So it's me against me. It's you against you. So we're looking for how we can get better. And then if you have people working for you, you're going to have a lot better chance of getting them better. And then together, you can elevate your organization. But it all starts with you. All starts with you. There's a book I wrote years ago called Up Your Business. It did really well. It came out in 2003. We did a revised version in 2007. And in the early part of that book, I talked about something called the law of attraction. It's the business version of the law of attraction, not the touchy-feely one they talk about out there. People who don't want to work and just think things into their lives sometimes. But this is not that. It's what the law of attraction in business says is you don't attract into your business what you want, you attract what you are. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, if you're a leader, if you're a 6, as a leader on a scale of 1 to 10, well, okay, here's some bad news. You're not going to naturally attract 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, right? This is why you got to be careful what you complain about your people. I had a guy tell me one time, well, I've just got a bunch of 3s on my team. I said, that'd make you about a 4. Be careful what you say about your people. I mean, they're in your image. I mean, and if you're a 6, are you going to be able to take somebody up to a 10? I mean, can you take them on a journey you haven't been on? Good luck with that. So again, to get people better, we got to get better. To get our business better, we got to get better. The business gets better when you get better. You get better when you go to work on yourself. Stop wishing it were easier and wish you were better, and it starts to get easier once you're better, okay? That's when it gets easier, once you're better. Let's start talking about training like an athlete so we can live, right? Live at a higher level, live like a champion. And I want to start with something that's going to be one of those picky things. But it's going to convict some of you, I just know. And you're going to be thinking, is it really that big of a deal? So if I do my job, I'm going to explain to you why this picky little thing or things is a pretty big deal. Here's the first step I want to talk about. And this is the first thing I talk to the athletes about. Raise your personal standards, and I'll explain what I mean. You got to raise your personal standards. Raise your personal standards. There's a phrase we use in business sometimes. We certainly hear it a lot. In sports, I hear coaches say it to their teams all the time. How you do anything is how you do everything, right? How many of you have heard that? How you do anything is how you do everything. How you do anything, because it's part of how you think, right? So it doesn't mean that if you're a quarterback for a football team, you wash dishes with the same intensity that you play the Super Bowl with, but it means you do it with the same excellence, with the same attitude, with the same diligence. Okay, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so how many of you believe that's true? When I work with these athletes, I give them a grooming process to follow early in the morning. I want them following processes the minute they get up. I'll have them describe to me, describe your grooming process. It's not good. Young men, you know, jocks, for the most part. The college kid was the worst. Basically, just light dusting yesterday's funk to be acceptable enough to get into today. And I said, but that matters. I said, I'm going to give you a process to follow. I want you following processes early in the morning, you see. Raise your standards. You feel good about yourself. Everything I'm going to give you, you do in a certain order. You do the way I tell you to do it. I said you're going to feel better about yourself. You're already following processes. You're already being disciplined. You're already doing things most people aren't willing to do. Now how are you going to feel when you walk into that gym or when you walk into that workplace, you see? Because you already got momentum. Second point builds right on this one. So the first one's raise your personal standards. The second one, win the first hour of the day. Man, you got to win. I'm not talking about the first hour after you get to work. I'm talking about the first hour after you roll your rear end out of bed, okay? Well, what are you doing with that first hour? You got to get hydrated. You got to follow a process. This young man that I auditioned to give this scholarship to, and I had to be picky because these things take a lot of my time. I have opportunities to do it right now with a tennis player, a swimmer, another NBA guy. I don't have time with all the other stuff. So it's like, I got to choose well. When I chose Paul Mulcahy, he plays for Rutgers. Tough kid, house burned down when he was 15, raised with 5 siblings, tough upbringing, just kind of figured it out, just a tough-minded kid. He was on my radar because we'd played against him, and he was like the one guy on that team that really impressed me with his heart. You could just see him. And when I chose him, one of our first Zoom calls, I asked him, I said, Paul, did you make your bed this morning? And he said, no, because we have a rule, if you lie, we're done. We're not playing that game, okay. If you lie, we're done. He said, no. I said, if I were coming over to visit you today, would you have made your bed? He said, oh, yeah. I said, Paul, why would you have higher standards for someone else than you have for yourself? I said, we're going to do this. You're going to make your bed when you get up in the morning. You're going to do what most people aren't doing. You're going to feel, and then when you go see it again at night, you're going to realize you started the day with success. You're going to start the day with success. And then you're going to follow this grooming process. I said, when do you get hydrated? When I get to the gym. I said, it's too late. I said, every morning you wake up, you are dehydrated. Every morning you wake up, you are automatically dehydrated. And when you are dehydrated, your blood thickens, your organs slow down. It takes more energy just to perform normal functions. You had all that moisture going out at night, nothing coming in. You are dehydrated. You have a foggy memory, you become irritable, it will constipate you. You gotta drink water. People reach for coffee first thing in the morning. You better get that 32 ounces of water down within that first hour. Now you got energy. Now you're taking care of your body, you see. You get hydrated, you get energized within that first hour. You follow this grooming process. I gave him a certain way to take a shower, okay? You gotta do it in this order. And it's very strategic. Learned it from the Navy SEALs and said, you know what? You start the first 10 seconds ice cold because I want you to be uncomfortable early in the morning. I want you to be 10 seconds. It'll seem like 2 minutes. Early in the morning. I want you to be cold because I want you, that'll wake you up, number one. Number two, it's good for your body for 10 seconds. I said, number three, you've already been uncomfortable. So now I don't have to worry about being uncomfortable today. There's probably going to be nothing more uncomfortable than that, all right? And I managed to make it through that. I followed a process. I made my bed. I hydrated. I feel good about myself. And 6 months later, he said, that changed my life. He said, the grooming process changed my life. He said, I carry myself differently. I have a higher standard. I have more confidence. These little things matter. Clean them up. Win that first hour. Then I said, what do you do to work on your mindset? Kind of like I asked y'all. What's your mindset routine? I don't do anything. I said, well, you just admitted to me that having the right mindset is more important than your skills, your knowledge, your talent, or experience. He said, well, what do you do? I said, well, I do a lot because I've done it for 30 plus years, but we're going to start you off with 15 minutes. You're going to set 15 minutes aside. Now, what you do is up to you. By the way, in order for me to work with one of these athletes, they have to be a Christian, okay? I said, well, that's discrimination. Yeah, so what? Sue me. Come sue me. I got lawyers too. Let me tell you something. He said, I can do that. They're not working for me. I'm working for them. But, and not that I work with a lot of non-Christians, don't get me wrong. But the people that I'm going to spend this intimate time with, they got to be grounded in the same values I am, or a lot of what I'm telling them is not going to work. We can't be on 2 separate pages. And so he was, and so you're going to start out by filling out this gratitude journal. I said, I'll send you the first one. After that, they're on you. I want you to start the day by writing the things you're grateful for the day before. I said, I've done this for 22 of the years. I said, what this does, it starts your day with gratitude. A lot of times we wake up, we're rehearsing all the nonsense that happened yesterday. We're dreading the stuff we got going on today. I said, you're going to bring closure. I said, this is a good book. It has 6 spaces for every day. It has a monthly summary where you get to regroup it all in there again. There's gratitude quotes throughout. I said, you're going to start with that. I said, we're going to start you with 1 devotional. I said, you're going to sign you up for one devotional. I said, do you like to read the Bible? He said, I do. I said, okay, we're going to come up with something there. I said, we're going to review your why. He said, what's my why? I said, well, that's what you're going to have to figure out, and I'm going to help you with that. But we're going to have you fill out the why workbook. I'll talk to you about that later. And you're going to review your why before you ever walk out. I said, that's all it's going to be. And you're going to pray. So you're going to do a gratitude journal. You're going to read a devotional. You're going to review your why, your priorities for the day, the goals you want most in life. And you're going to read some of the Bible. And you're going to pray. I said, you're going to do all that 15 or 20 minutes. Now think about what you've done. You have won that first hour. You won probably the first 2 hours. Won probably the first 2 hours. And now you're going to walk into your arena and you're going to be all about excellence. How are you going to feel about yourself? You're going to be disciplined. You followed a process. You've been all about excellence. You got confidence. You got self-esteem and confidence, which are two separate things, which we'll talk about here in a minute. You're hydrated. This is how we start. You win the first hour, you'll win the morning. You win the morning, you got a real good chance of winning the day. But if you don't get that momentum going early, sometimes you never get it going. You're always playing catch up. You're always doing damage control. You're always coming from behind. You never feel like you have the upper hand on the day. You never have to recover from a great start. Get that great start. Create that great start. And you don't need anybody's permission to do this. This stuff I'm talking to you about, you don't need a government grant. You don't need a certain level of education. You don't need permission from your mama. You don't need any of that. You can make the choice to do it. It's all very much within your control. And start to win that first hour, and it will set the tone for the whole day. I said, now you got to maintain it throughout the day. We talked about how to do that. Have another little routine to wind it down at night. Have to teach these guys how to sleep. I'll become an expert on sleep. I teach them how to go to sleep in 2 minutes, how to breathe, how to relax, how to get the tension out. I said, well, we're going to take it one step at a time. I want you to think what you can do to win that first hour. Oh, by the way, I told him, I said, you send me a picture of that made bed. Send me a picture of that made bed that next day. Accountability. He sent me the picture of that made bed. It looked pretty good. I said, now let me ask you a question. We have a code with my athletes, Q5. We text them, Q5. That means I need a quick 5-minute conversation. They can hit me after a game, after something bad happens, Q5, question mark, yeah, in 10 minutes. I hit him, Q5. He said, yeah, I'm ready. I said, appreciate you sending me the picture, Paul, of the made bed. I said, when's the last time you washed the pillowcase? He said, I don't remember. I said, okay, that's a pretty good indication it's never happened. Okay. I didn't even want to ask about the sheets at that point because I said, okay now. I said, now, so what you did is you made a bed over a nasty pillow. I said, that's what we call putting lipstick on a pig, you see. I said, that's not excellence. That's not excellence. I said, now, here's what happens when you don't take care of those little things. I said, you got some acne. Yeah. What's that do for your confidence? Not much. I said, you know why you got some of it? Because on that nasty pillowcase, for months, you got perspiration building up, skin oils, saliva, all those dead skin cells. I said, you're 6'7" strong guy. If somebody tried to take that and put it on you, you'd fight them, but you are willingly laying your head down on it for 7-8 hours a night. I said, weekly. You got to get that stuff cleaned up weekly. I said, excellence in all things. We're not cutting any corners. Can you see where this little stuff matters? You feel a little bit better about yourself when you do that. I guarantee you it's going to carry over into your performance. How you think determines what you do, how you do it. That determines what you get, but it all starts with how you think. And we're not getting our thinking right, so our behaviors aren't right and our results aren't right. It's not hard to figure out. You want better results, change your behaviors. You're going to change your behaviors, you got to change your thinking. And you can change your thinking. And if you don't, that's your fault. It is within your control. It is within your control.
More from the Warp Speed Provision Conference next time on Fixing the Money Thing.